It is. It's Look, Real News by Real People here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Steve Lookner, your host for Look. I personally am not even sure if the show is partially called Look because my name is Lookner. I honestly don't know the answer to that. They haven't told me. But anyways, so the idea here is, so we're not doing RSBN tonight. We're doing Look, Real News by Real People, a little more casual, and just a little bit of a background on the name, Real News by Real People. So we here at Right Side Broadcasting, we don't, if you want the mainstream media, you have plenty of places to go for that on your cable TV or whatever. But, we don't really, mainstream media, I mean, to me personally and to a lot of us here, it's just kind of stopped being interesting. It's the people in the suits, and it's the big fancy buildings on 50th Street and 6th Ave, and it's the, the fancy multi-million-dollar sets and all the cameras and everybody with their mini skirts and their hairdos and everything. And you watch it and you kind of get the same take on everything. I mean, we have MSNBC, Fox News, and CNN here at all times on 3 TVs, as you've seen if you've watched The Office Cam. And it's just amazing. It's really, I mean, I know one's supposed to be liberal and one's supposed to be, well, two are kind of liberal. But even with, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, like, it's always kind of the same. And the takes aren't that interesting, and they're always all covering the same stories, and like, you get these 3-minute little snippets of takes on stories that you've heard before. And to me, that's not real people news. That's not how real people talk about things. When you talk about stuff with your friends or your coworkers or your family, what's going on, I don't think you talk about in 3-minute snippets, and I certainly don't think you dress up in a suit and do your hair up. And I think you kind of talk about a lot of different things. You don't always talk about the same news items that the news is talking about, and you don't always give the same views they're giving. So this is really real news for real people. It's more casual. I think when you talk about, look, when I talk about news with people, I dress like this. I don't put on a suit. So this is what I wear when I talk about news, and I am a real person. And so what we want to do tonight is just to, we're not going to do the thing where we have our list of the 10 top stories and we read down the news. Although I will say I think RSBN tonight does that very well. But we're trying to do something different. That's on us. We're trying to do something different than the mainstream media does. And tonight we want to, on Real News by Real People, Look, just take a few stories that have been out there that, like, this is stuff I've been talking about with my friends, my coworkers here at Right Side Broadcasting, and talk about them like a real person would, and give our take on it. And here's another way this is real news by real people. This is experimental, so stay with me here. This is a risk. We're risky here. You won't see risks on the big networks with their multi-million-dollar buildings and sets, and it was probably multi-billion-dollar buildings. Maybe multi-hundred-million-dollar buildings. Anyways, you're not going to see this on the big networks where they don't take risks. More on that later, by the way, about how they don't take risks. We're going to do something risky here. We've never tried this before. So I'd like to get some feedback from you guys on the show. And so the way I think we're going to try and do this, I hope this works, is you're going to be able to DM me on Twitter during the show. You can DM as direct message. So my Twitter is @Lookner. I'm Steve Lookner, Lookner, and my Twitter is @Lookner, @Lookner. So if you, supposedly I've been told, if you direct message me, I can get it here on my iPad, and I can read your comments during the show. Maybe you have a question. Maybe you have a comment. Let me, one word of advice. If your comment involves putting down some ethnicity or racism, it's not going to get read. Other than that, though, I very well might read it. So I'm pulling up. I have my Twitter up here. I have my notifications. So if you're out there, maybe you want to help me test this out. Maybe shoot me a DM. And that'll at least let me know it's working. I think it's going to work. I think. My fingers are crossed. So I'm checking right now. I have no DMs yet. You're going to make me sad. So anyways, I hope somebody DMs me. I'm @Lookner on Twitter. Go to direct message me. I think this might work. Let's see. Well, we'll see. I hope I hear from you. I'd really love to hear from you. Because this is about not just me here at Right Side Broadcasting and not about just about us. It's about us and you guys working together to talk about awesome stuff and have a good time. Okay, so here's what I want to do first. Oh my gosh, Maggie, you're the best. Maggie here. Maggie, can I show your photo? Maggie hasn't told me if I can show her photo. It looks fine. Oh my gosh, I just got 4 messages. This is so good. All right, so I'm going to start with Maggie. Maggie, well now, all right. Maggie said, hi, Steve, but Maggie didn't tell me if I could show her photo, so I'm covering it with my finger. Also, you can't even read it because it's so far away. But anyways, I'm not making this up. Maggie says, test, hi, Steve. Well, this is wonderful. Oh my gosh. No leisure suits, please. From Mac Dye. Mac Dye says, no leisure suits, please. By leisure suits, Mac Dye, I'm not sure if Mac Dye means like a leisure suit, like a sort of like 70s suit, or do you mean like leisure suits this? Because if you mean like this is leisure suit, I just explained why I was wearing this, so feel free, MacDie, to go back to the beginning of the show and listen to that again. We have, I'm getting a bunch of messages here. Let me just read a couple more because I find this quite interesting. We have Airborne says, hey Steve, shout out from the RSBN Mod Squad. I did not know there was an RSBN Mod Squad. If you make t-shirts, I very well might buy one, so let me know. We have Cuddly Ogre asking, let's see, what did Cuddly Ogre said? Cuddly Ogre seemed to send me a message and then erased it. And now he says, yes, you can show mine. I don't know what that means. And Henry Paul McAfee says, hey, Steve, glad you all are doing what you're doing. This is awesome. Lots of luck to you. This is great. So we have to move on a little bit with the show, but I'm so excited I'm so excited you're DMing me. So please feel free to DM me throughout the show and let me know what you're thinking. And I'm not going to say now, DM me now. I'm just going to kind of look down and see what you're saying. But what I first want to do, and my heart is now warm. I was going to be so sad before that no one DM'd me, but somebody did. But I will say that Maggie's going to hold a special place in my heart because Maggie was the first. So thank you, Maggie. But thank you to everybody else, too. I'm so excited to read all of these. Hello, everybody. I haven't said hi to you so far. But, okay, so topic 1 I want to talk about today. And this is going to be something where we do something a little different that the networks wouldn't do. So, last night, I am not watching the Golden Globes. So I will tell you this. I was home doing some work, and I was like, you know what, maybe I'll put the Golden Globes on in the background. And I had it on, I turned it on, and they were about to give out an award, and I think they were reading the nominees. And they showed 3 actresses from like 3 different shows, like looking anxiously all happy about their Golden Globe award they might get. And as soon as I just saw how serious everybody was taking this and how excited they were about their mainstream media shows winning an award, I physically had to go up and turn it off. I turned on like the UCLA basketball game or something. But anyways, it was just something. But I couldn't even have it on in silence in the background. So I was not watching the Golden Globe Awards. But as I was periodically checking my Twitter feed to get my news, because I'm kind of a news junkie and I like to do that, a bunch of people started posting stuff about Meryl Streep, and like a lot of it was like, so I follow like a lot of big like media people on just to see what they're saying on my Twitter feed, and a bunch of them were like, yeah, Meryl. Oh, my Facebook blew up too. Like my Facebook was saying things like, why doesn't Meryl Streep run for president? You know, you go, Meryl Streep. And I was like, what is Meryl Streep doing that's getting so much attention? And then it kind of hit me, oh, maybe she's saying something on the Golden Globes. So anyways, I started doing a little research, and it found out that she made this speech at the Golden Globes. And then, so I was like, okay, I got to figure out what the speech was, because I kind of learned pretty quick it was like anti-Trump, surprise, surprise. And I went and I watched this speech, and I try not to get angry anymore. I used to get angry like during the campaign when like people would misrepresent the conservative side, misrepresent Trump. And one thing that gets me really mad, if you've watched me at all on here, is like when people take a side and I feel like they haven't thought it through, or they don't acknowledge the other side's opinion, or they have a bad argument about it. Like I'm all for people believing whatever they want to believe. Just have a good argument for it, and also don't just have a good argument for it. Like consider what the other side's argument is. So anyways. I watched this Meryl Streep speech, and it drives me crazy because I'm watching the speech and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm so angry for so many reasons. And then I start going back to the news coverage and I start seeing all of these like mainstream news outlets saying things like Meryl Streep reads powerful speech at Golden Globes. I mean, actually, this is funny because I had my page open to Bazaar magazine. Is it a magazine these days? I don't know. Harper's Bazaar. So, and their headline is, here's the full transcript of Meryl Streep's powerful Golden Globe speech. But there were all these like mainstream media outlets like talking about this great speech, and like I saw the speech and I was just like, this is so dumb. This is so dumb. I just thought it was a really dumb speech. I thought it was like, it was very anti-Trump, but it was not well-argued anti-Trumpism. It was like dumb. And so what I really wanted to do, and this is why I'm so glad we have Real News for Real People, because I could never do this on a mainstream media shows for mainstream media people show. I could never actually do what I'm going to do now. I want to go through the transcript of Meryl Streep's speech. I don't want to like just tell you like it was bad or whatever. I want to go through what she actually said. I want to make my case. I want to make my case to you that this speech was dumb. And to do that, I'm going to go through, it's not that long, I'm going to go through word by word her speech and tell you what she said. And even if you watched it, maybe you don't remember exactly, I'm just going to go through the whole speech. And this is the speech that so many people are saying was so good today. If you've looked at mainstream media at all, you know so much of mainstream media has reported on this speech like it was powerful and it was like a really strong critique. And when they report on it, they don't say like it was dumb. They give it credit for being like a good, powerful speech. And I want to go through and just look at what she actually said and look at that. Before we do, another thing I'm going to do now, I don't know if Brad or Micah can hear me right now, but I know we're supposed to do a quick commercial. Brad and Micah, can you hear me out there? Can Brad and Micah hear me? Let's see. This is a fun experiment. Hello, Brad. In 10 or in... Brad, you can tell me. Tell me, Brad. 5? Oh, please watch this ad. It helps pay our bills, and I'll be right back. Please watch it, please. Oh, should I go now, Brad?
Just go.
It's Real News for Real People with real ads. Real News by Real People. Hey, could someone in the Real News by Real People staff shut the door, please? So, are we good? All right. Welcome back. I guess people are back, right? You're watching Look, Real News by Real People. So, as I said, I'm going to go through Meryl Streep. By the way, if you didn't watch that ad, no. See, the thing is, we don't take money from like big investors who want to control our content. We want to be independent for you. We want to do this for you. And so a big way we make money is if you watch the ads. Like if you skip the ad, we don't. See, the way it works is if you skip the ad after 5 seconds, we don't make money. So please do us a solid. When the ads come on and watch. We'd be so grateful if you did that. And don't do that thing. We're not saying like go out of the room and play the ad, because that's not, then the advertiser kind of gets, it's unfair to them. So please, just do us a solid and watch the ads. We're not going to have that many of them. All right. Anyways, before we get to the Meryl Streep stuff, I want to look at a bunch of you DM'd me. And again, if you want to reach me during the show, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your comments, what you like, what you don't like, stuff you want us to talk about. And you go to Twitter and you go to @Lookner. Lookner, and you direct message me, and I can get it right here. And also feel free to follow me as well at Lookner. And you can also follow Right Side at RSB Network. That's Right Side. Okay, so, Pro G Bime has informed me that the ad was the top of my head. I didn't know my top of my head was advertising anything. Well, this is new to me. Thank you, Pro G Bime. Rose Keith says, hi, Steve. Hi, Rose Keith. Rose Keith says, I love the backdrop green screen. Nice to see someone not in a tie. We need to know what president-elect, is there a rest of the message? Oh, Donald Trump has done today, and then some other stuff. So she said she loves the green screen. Do you mean you love the city background, or you love the actual green screen? Because I think we're going to stick with the background and not just a wall of green. I think you mean the background, so I'm glad you like that. Faster Than Light says Hollywood stars shouldn't get involved in politics. Oh, Andrew says he thinks I'm great. Thank you. What else? Are we going to be at the inauguration? Oh, Henry Paul McAfee says, are you going to be at the inauguration? Yes, Right Side's going to have awesome inauguration coverage. Not only are we going to be at all the events on the day of, like including the ceremony, prayer, something or other. Is it prayer, breakfast? I don't know. Deplorable. We're going to be Deplorable. We're going to have Cassie Dillon's going to be there. Will Nardi's going to be there from Raised Right, a show you should watch on Right Side Broadcasting. I'm going to be shooting some live stuff. Liz Willis is going to be shooting. Our newest on-air personality is going to be shooting some live stuff. So please mark off those days on your calendar. The 20th inauguration, and we're going to be doing some stuff for a couple days before that. So we'll be there. Okay. Oh, somebody said hi from Germany. Dave said watching you from Western NY State. Hi, Dave. I'm from Boston originally, so I hope you're not feeling too cold. The Alpha's wife says, hi, Steve. I could do this all day, but I got to get back to the show. Well, this is part of the show, but I got to get back to Meryl Streep. So, again, please DM me. I love hearing from you guys. This is awesome. At Lookner on Twitter. And now, gosh, I spent so much talking. I love your DMs so much. I talked so much about them. I need to take a quick sip of water. Real water. Real water on a real news show for real people. Okay, so Meryl Streep. Everybody's been talking about this speech today, about how powerful it was. And, there's been debate over this speech, but I think, like, when you watch the debate on the mainstream media, it's sort of taken for granted that it was not dumb, but I think it was really dumb. And so, to defend my argument, I'm going to go through the transcript of the speech word by word, and you can be the judge. You can hear the I'm going to actually. You don't see this on CNN and MSNBC and Fox News. I saw one of the networks like quoted, I think it was Morning Joe. And by the way, I actually really like Morning Joe on MSNBC. I think there's a lot of good analysis on there. But if I'm right, I think they played like the 15 seconds of the speech I actually thought wasn't dumb, and I'll talk about that. Let me get to it already. Anyways, okay. So, but I think the media has not been showing the dumb parts, which is a lot of it, in my opinion. Okay, so again, this speech drove me crazy. All right, let's begin, shall we? All right. I'm going to read this, so excuse me while I go down and read the speech. As I'm reading, I can't look at you and look at the speech. All right, here's the first paragraph. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please sit down. Please sit down. Thank you. I love you all. Okay, I'm willing to grant her that. You'll have to forgive me. I've lost my voice in screaming and lamentation this weekend. Let's stop right there. Oh, no, wait. I don't want to stop right there. I've lost my voice in screaming and lamentation this weekend, and I have lost my mind sometime earlier this year, so I have to read. So she immediately starts off clearly referencing the election, and she says she lost her mind. So I guess she lost her mind because, like tens of millions of people voted for a person who she didn't want to vote for, and he got a sizable majority of the electoral votes, and that caused her to lose her mind. She said she lost her mind. Okay. So right away, she's saying she's very anti-Trump. She's given no reason for this. So the assumption in the room is just that it's reasonable to lose your mind because he won the election. And I feel like I'm forgetting. She also said, I've lost my mind in screaming and lamentation this weekend. Is there something this weekend that happened that she's referring to? Maybe I'm being an idiot here. But was there some specific Trump thing this weekend that was so different that made her lose her voice this weekend? I might be forgetting something. Hey, you know what? DM me if you remember this. But anyways, so just the first paragraph, she does the little pleasantries, and then she says she lost her mind earlier this year when Trump won the election, but no reasoning given for this. So anyways, let me just establish right there. I think when she says, I lost my mind sometime earlier this year, tons of people watching the Golden Globes are like, oh yeah, this speech is awesome. Oh, what a powerful speech. This is so great. She's so awesome. Meryl for president. And note that the only thing she's done is said how much she hates Trump. That's all she's done, given no reasoning. But just doing that, there are people I know who I think are otherwise really smart people who will just be like, great speech. It's awesome. I mean, but hers, I don't see how she's making a powerful case just by saying that she lost her mind earlier this year. But, I find, I look at probably more of this liberal stuff than I do the conservative stuff. So maybe it happens probably happens on both sides too. But at least on the liberal side, I do find that there's a lot of times when some famous liberal person basically just says something of the form like Trump is bad, people are like, great speech, excellent. I mean, but there's no reasoning there. It's just, you're just saying Trump is bad. But they act like the person is like, oh, that's so powerful and well-spoken and very articulate. And she made a great case. So anyways, just to establish that first paragraph, I know, I got to go through this line by line because so many people said it was so good and so powerful. So we're done with the first paragraph now. Okay. The intention, by the way, is not for this to be a 9-hour going through her speech, so I'll go through a little faster. Oh, but let me just take a break for a second. Let me take a break and let's see if anybody DM'd, shall we? Who could it be? Let's see. Let's see here. All right, David Obst. I'll give you credit, David Obst. He said, the election was last year, Steve. This often happens to me. I forget it's a new year. I forget it's 2017. And if I write out checks, although I never write out checks anymore, but if I did, I would put 2016. So fair enough, David Obst. I have just blocked you forever. No, I have not blocked you forever. I appreciate you correcting me. I'll take corrections. I don't see Brooke Baldwin taking corrections on CNN. I don't see Steve Kornacki taking corrections on MSNBC, but I'll do it here. Because these are real connections by a real person giving you real news. Let's see. Amanda Poland says, watching from Washington State, you're very entertaining to watch. Well, thank you, Amanda. Or did you just say that so I'd say your name? Let's see. Who else? We have, Tar writes, can't wait to see what you have to show us with your new show. But see, this is one of the new shows, so I am showing you so you don't have to wait any longer. Or maybe you're talking about a different show. Maggie says, glad you found sponsors to advertise. We could always use more if you want to sponsor us. And let's see. Anyway, somebody else loves the backdrop. Okay, so... oh no, Lady for Truth says, when will the news start? So in case you missed it, Lady for Truth, no RSBN tonight. This is a little show called Look, Real News by Real People. And we're kind of doing, it's not mainstream media news, like here's the 7 top stories and our 3-minute superficial takes on all of them. We're sort of going a little deeper into stories maybe that real people were talking about today and talking about them in a real person way. So, okay, let me get back to Meryl Streep. And just a heads up, if Brad or Micah, if you're listening out there, maybe we'll do one of those ads another time soon. And rumor has it that the last ad might have been the top of my head. And as far as I'm aware, I am not advertising the top of my head. Maybe I should, but I am not. So if you guys want to do another ad, Brad and Micah, feel free to stick your head in and let me know when that would be good to do, and we can pay some bills. But for now, let's go to paragraph 2 of Meryl Streep. So I hope you agree with me so far, reading her first paragraph, that the speech is not very powerful and has not made any kind of compelling case whatsoever for anything intelligent. Okay, so here's what Meryl Streep says in paragraph 2. Ready? Okay, she says, "Thank you, Hollywood foreign press. Just to pick up on what Hugh Laurie said, you and all of us in this room really belong to the most vilified segments in American society right now. Think about it. Hollywood, foreigners, and the press." Okay, that's not even the end of the second paragraph, but I have to look at this again. Okay, hold on. Let me just, I'm repeating her exact words. She's talking to the foreign press and she says, you and all of us in this room, so all of the entertainment people in the room and the foreign press are the most vilified segments in American society right now. Hollywood, foreigners, and the press. So that's the claim she's making, that the three most vilified segments in American society right now are Hollywood, foreigners, and the press. Let's take them one by one. Is Hollywood the most vilified segment in American society right now? Really? Why is she saying this? I don't, has there been some common large movement I've missed against, are we doing an ad soon, by the way, Brad?
We just did one.
Oh, we just did one?
Yeah.
Oh, see, they're not...
But not everyone sees it.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to let you guys stay in control of that. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me do it, Brad. Was there some widespread movement against Hollywood that I have missed lately? Did we take a time cap? Maybe like the McCarthy era? I know in that era there was like a big organized government movement against certain people in Hollywood. I'm not aware of some large-scale movement against Hollywood. I am aware of some people criticizing Hollywood people for, say, taking like dumb political stances that aren't actually well defended. But that could happen at any point in time, and I don't feel like that's been especially bigger movement now than it has been. So I literally don't understand the argument or the reasoning behind her claim that Hollywood is one of the most vilified segments in American society right now. Now, my guess is that some people like her in Hollywood, they a lot of them are just crazy, they're like totally pro-Clinton. And that like sometimes maybe on their Twitter feed somebody criticizes them for being pro-Clinton. And they say like, yeah, Trump. And they take that as being vilified. They take someone disagreeing with them as all of society vilifying them. Now, there's a theory that could explain this. So I have a bit of a background in LA, whereas I did TV comedy writing for a number of years, and so I know a little bit about how this works. And like big stars in LA, they get surrounded by like yes people, in the sense of like, when you're like somebody as big as Meryl Streep, none of her handlers are ever criticizing you. If you work for Meryl Streep, like if you're her assistant or you're her agent and stuff, like you just don't like say Meryl Streep like, hey, you weren't that good in that movie, or like, hey, I don't really like this project you're working on, or like, hey, I don't really like what you're wearing, or whatever. You just don't do that because she'll fire you. And so this basically produces these people who are surrounded by groups of people who never like say no to them and never also tell them anything that they're doing wrong. And so it's certainly possible that Meryl Streep gets an email, or like, I don't even know if she has a Twitter account. I looked last night, I couldn't find it. But she gets an email or from a Trump supporter, from like one Trump supporter, or she reads an article where like one pro-Trump paper criticizes her, or she gets any negative feedback whatsoever at her pro-Clinton support. And she thinks like, wow, no one ever criticizes me for anything in my everyday life. But now, all of a sudden, since Trump won, somebody's criticizing me for something. I guess that means there's a national movement to vilify Hollywood. Maybe that's what she's thinking. But I will say that aside from something like this, I don't understand the basis for her claim that Hollywood is one of the most vilified, three most vilified segments in American society. Also, so Hollywood is more vilified than criminals? How about serial killers? So that's a segment of society. Is Hollywood more vilified than serial killers? How about this segment? So she says the three segments of society most vilified in America right now are Hollywood, foreigners, and the press. How about ISIS sympathizers? Is Hollywood more vilified than ISIS sympathizers? I wasn't aware of this. That's not my experience. So anyways, I think now you're starting to see why this speech got me so riled up. I haven't even gotten halfway through paragraph 2, by the way. So I'm never going to be able to get through the whole thing. So I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit. But again, all I'm doing here is I'm reading exactly what she says. I'm just reading her words. I'm reading this powerful speech that everybody in the mainstream media said was so powerful and well said. And I'm just reading it, and I don't understand the basis for the claims it's making. Okay, so, all right, hold on. I need a break, and what I'm going to do is to take a break. I'm not going to leave the room. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some of your messages, because I want to see your messages. I'm going to take a sip of water. Okay, I wonder what anyone has messaged. What can we see? Let's see. Let's go to Twitter and see. If you want to message me during the show, it's @Lookner. That's Twitter. You can follow me too. You can follow me to be nice. Just give me some follows. I love follows. It makes me feel better. And let me see if people sent me some stuff. Okay, let's see. So if you direct message me at Twitter at @Lookner, I can see what you're saying. Maybe even read it on the show. Stuart Angel says, "Great job so far. I like the free-flowing style." Thanks, Stuart. Let's see. Tar says, "Steve, we will never understand the left." I don't know if we'll never understand them. I think there's some parts of it we won't understand. That's like a whole show in itself, Tar. Let's see. What else do we got here? Let's see. American Girl says Meryl Streep referenced her losing her mind earlier this year. She made the same year mistake. See, it's not just me, it's Meryl Streep as well. Thank you, American Girl. So that person who criticized me for making the year mistake. See, it's not just me, it was Meryl Streep. Amanda Poland says, "I'm watching," did I read hers already? Watching from Washington State. Good, I love it. Let's see, who else? What else we got? We got, see, some normal Benji Gonda said, but his message just disappeared. Did you delete it? Some normal Benji Gonda? Oh, I see what happens. If you send me a message and then you send me a second one, your first one disappears on my feed. So you send some normal Benji Gonda sent me a message about something about Meryl Streep, but I'm going to talk about that next, so I can't read your message right yet because you anticipated something I'm going to say. So good point there, some normal Benji Gonda, but I'm not reading it yet. Okay, all right, so hold on a second. All right, so let's get back to Meryl Streep for a second. All right, so anyways, given that we have to get off the air eventually, and I'm only literally through a paragraph and a half of her speech. And I also had a couple other stories I wanted to get to today. I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit here. All right, so maybe I'll record a separate video where I do the full 9-hour going through Meryl Streep's speech. But anyways, I want to move on to the next. All right, okay, so let's get to the foreigners part. This might have driven me crazier than anything in the speech, and this drove me crazy and got me angry in the same way so much got me angry during the campaign. And I got to say, it's my anger during the campaign at the way people covered Trump and the way people who supported Clinton argued against Trump. It's part of what led me to right side broadcasting. I started watching the rallies because I got so angry. I got so into Trump in part because I was like, who is this person they're making all these awful statements about? And I started wanting to watch his speeches for myself. And I turned on. I just started. Thank goodness, because if you tried to watch Trump speeches on the news, they would show 5 minutes of them. And then I found out that Right Side Broadcasting was broadcasting the whole speech, and I would go and I would watch him talking the speeches on Right Side Broadcasting. I would watch the speeches, the whole thing, not just the 5 minutes they show on CNN or whatever. And I would realize oh, like these things that like liberals are saying about Trump, like they're not true. Like if you watch the speeches, he's not really saying what they say he's saying. Like they say he wants to ban Muslims. But when I watch the actual speech, he says, hey, we have this problem with terrorists infiltrating the country, this country from Muslim countries, so I think we should temporarily stop Muslims from entering the country until we figure out what's going on and we can better know who's entering the country. That's not banning Muslims from the country. That's a temporary ban to address a specific problem of terrorism with the intention of lifting the ban as soon as we figure out what's going on. So I would watch these speeches on right side and I would see what Trump actually says. And then when I would go back to the mainstream media and also go back to my Facebook and my Twitter and look at what liberals were saying, and even what the mainstream media was saying, you'd hear countless commentators on like CNN and MSNBC like say Trump wants to ban Muslims. And it was just like, I'd sit there and I'd be like, I just watched the half-an-hour rally. Why don't you watch the rally? But it's like they didn't want to watch the rally. So I was so thankful to Right Side that they covered these rallies, and they just let me see what he was actually saying. So this kind of connects to what I'm going to say next about this Meryl Streep speech, because the next part of the Meryl Streep speech that I'm going to look at here is really the part where she really just, she totally misportrays what he actually believes. So let me read this part of the speech for you, and then I will discuss why it's so dumb. Again, this whole exercise is just to make my case that her speech was really dumb, and that like the headlines in the newspaper today should have said like, Meryl Streep gives really dumb speech at Golden Globes. If there was a newspaper called like the Honest News Tribune, they would have had that headline. Okay, so before I do this, let me take a sip of water. Okay, here we go. Ready? This is the next part of her speech. She says, but who are we? And you know, what is Hollywood anyway? It's just a bunch of people from other places. Okay, so here's where she's going. Here's how she continues. I was born and raised and created in the public schools of New Jersey. Viola Davis was born in a sharecropper's cabin in South Carolina and grew up in Central Falls, Rhode Island. Now, you might be listening to this and saying, like, where is she going with this? She's going somewhere. At least in her mind, she's going somewhere, but keep listening. Speech continues. Sarah Paulson was raised by a single mom in Brooklyn. Sarah Jessica Parker was one of 7 or 8 kids from Ohio. Amy Adams was born in Italy. Little turn here. We'll keep going. See where this is going? Natalie Portman was born in Jerusalem. Oh, so we started out talking about actors and actresses born in America. Now we're talking about their being in foreign countries. But why are we doing this? Why is she doing this? Let's read on and find out why she's doing this. Okay. Where are their birth certificates? So she says, Amy Adams was born in Italy. Natalie Portman was born in Jerusalem. Where are their birth certificates? Okay, when I heard her say this, I had to stop and think, and I thought about this. This is supposed to be a joke, an anti-Trump joke, and I'm still not sure I understand the joke. So let me think this through. This is clearly a reference to like Trump and people who are Trump supporters asking for Obama's birth certificate. And so I'm trying to think this through. They asked for Obama's birth certificate because they thought there was a case to be made that he wasn't born in America. And they thought that if he wasn't born in America, he can't be president. So the reason, I'll be forthright with you. I personally didn't think the birth certificate thing was that big a deal. I actually thought that Republicans hurt the cause themselves by pushing forward. If it was up to me, I wouldn't have made it a big issue. But it's if you think it's a big issue, that's we can disagree here. That's fine, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, me personally, I'm putting my cards on the table, and I don't agree with everything else everybody else agrees with, and what all of you agree with. But I'm being honest with you. That to me was birth certificate issue was not a big issue in terms of issues I thought that I really wanted to know, that I really wanted settled, and that I thought were the most important. But anyways, I'm trying to make sense of this joke Meryl Streep told. And so she referenced birth certificate. And so remember, Trump and others who wanted to see Obama's birth certificate wanted to see this because they said if he can't produce a birth certificate that's American, he can't be president. So there's a reason they were asking for this. So the joke refers to this. And again, the joke is Amy Adams was born in Italy. Natalie Portman was born in Jerusalem. Where are their birth certificates? So, is the idea so I guess the joke is supposed to revolve around that if Trump and others, let's just say Trump, but I'm guessing she means, whether she means Trump or others, let's just say Trump to shorten it. If Trump wanted to see Obama's birth certificate, he should, and if Trump demanded Obama's birth certificate, he should equally demand Natalie Portman and Amy Adams' birth certificate. And because he's not demanding this, he's a hypocrite. Now, this is, again, I'm trying to make sense of this joke, and that is the only sense right now I can make of it. But even that wouldn't make any sense, because Amy Adams and Natalie Portman aren't running for president and weren't elected president. So it doesn't matter to Donald Trump or any other conservative whether they have an American birth certificate, because that only mattered to them about Obama because he was running for president and then won the election. So it doesn't make sense to say, where are their birth certificates? Because the person you're supposedly saying this to, Donald Trump, doesn't care about them having birth certificates and has no reason to care about having birth certificates from America because they didn't run for president, and they're not running for president, and they weren't elected president. My honest opinion here about this joke is that it really does make no sense. And now you might say to me, Steve, come on, man. Meryl Streep I think she won Oscars. Meryl Streep is an Oscar-winning actress. She has lots of money. She can hire people to do research for her and even write jokes for her. Meryl Streep would never, ever go on national TV and say a joke that made no sense. But see, if you think that, you're wrong. Meryl Streep is a celebrity. And as I said before, with celebrities, they will, no one's telling them no, and no one's telling them they have bad ideas. So Meryl Streep, she thinks up this joke, and maybe she reads it to her assistant, and maybe she, her personal stylist, that personal stylist is probably in the room, and her personal assistant is in the room, and maybe who else? Maybe she calls on their phone one of her friends or something, and she says, hey, I got this speech, and then she reads this joke, and they all laugh, ha, 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 and they probably don't get the joke either, but they're not going to say bad joke. So she reads this joke, makes no sense. Okay, I got to get out of this story, but I got to finish this part of the speech. So I'm just going to finish this part of the speech. This is the part of the speech that made me angriest. So the rest of this paragraph is this. This is what she says. So remember, Meryl Streep, she's just said Amy Adams was born in Italy, Natalie Portman was born in Jerusalem. She's talking about, in her speech, how all of these famous Hollywood actors and actresses are not from America. So this is what she's doing right now. And she continues, she says, and the beautiful Ruth Negga was born in Ethiopia, raised in Ireland, I do believe. That's her actual words. And she's here nominated for playing a small town girl from Virginia. Ryan Gosling, like all the nicest people, is Canadian. And Dev Patel was born in Kenya, raised in London, is here playing an Indian raised in Tasmania. Now, you might wonder, where was this all going? Why is she talking about all these foreigners why is she talking about all these famous Hollywood actors and actresses being from other countries? What's her point here? And again, this is like one of the key points of this powerful speech she's getting to. Here's where she gets to the point. She says, Hollywood is crawling with outsiders and foreigners. If you kick them all out, you'll have nothing to watch but football and mixed martial arts, which are not the arts. So again, this is the key point. She says, Hollywood is crawling with outsiders and foreigners. If you kick them all out, you'll have nothing to watch but football and mixed martial arts. So the basic point, the reason she listed all of these Hollywood actors and actresses and said, this person's from country X, this person's from Jerusalem, this person's from India, this person's from wherever. The reason she said that was to build up to this point that if you kick out all of the foreigners, you won't have all these awesome Hollywood movies and Hollywood TV shows. Now, this is supposed to be directed at Donald Trump. But directing this comment at Donald Trump assumes that Donald Trump wants to kick out all foreigners. I am literally reading the transcript of the words she said. She says, again, if Hollywood is crawling with outsiders and foreigners, if you kick them all out, that suggests that she thinks that Trump's position is to kick out all foreigners from the United States. I spent a lot of time during the past year following the campaign, watching Trump's speeches, reading countless newspaper articles, watching countless media coverage of the campaign, reading countless tweets about the campaign. I never once saw attributed to Donald Trump an exact quote that saying he wants to kick out all foreigners. I never saw a quote exact quote attributed to him that was from a reliable source that said he wanted to kick out any legal foreigners. The only things I saw attributed to him from reliable sources and that I thought he actually said were, we want to kick out illegal immigrants. And he has certain policies, like maybe the illegal criminals, maybe all of them, but the only time I ever saw him talk about kicking out foreigners was when they were here illegally. As far as I'm aware, none of the actors and actresses that Meryl Streep just mentioned as coming from foreign countries are here illegally. So Ryan Gosling is not here illegally as far as I'm aware. Natalie Portman is not here illegally. Amy Adams is not here illegally. Meryl Streep's whole big point she was leading up to in the speech was, look at all these great actors and actresses. If Donald Trump does what he says he's going to do, they would all not be here because they would be kicked out. But that is just, it's false. Donald Trump never said at all he's going to kick out legal foreigners. So I have no idea why she's saying this. And that was one of the 2 or 3, the big knockout blow points of her speech. One of the huge big lines. I mean, she spent 2 paragraphs leading up to that. So one of the big points of her powerful speech was a criticism of Trump for something he never said in a position he doesn't hold. So anyways, that was just the first 3 paragraphs of the speech. I think you get the idea here that there were things wrong with the speech. And I'm not going to, part of me would love to, keep going with that speech and read the whole thing. But I'll tell you what. If you're interested in the rest of the speech, go online, just search Meryl Streep speech transcript, and what you can do is just read it yourself and imagine I'm sitting there next to you. Well, no, that'd be kind of creepy. Imagine I'm on the TV next to you or the computer and imagine what I would say. Or come up with your own lines about what you'd say. But I think you'll agree with me if you read the speech with a critical eye that the speech is dumb. The one part I thought that wasn't dumb is she did make a point about that I think maybe has some merit, where she said, if she didn't say exactly this, but I think the general point was like if Donald Trump uses his Twitter to like. She said, like, Donald Trump sometimes seems to be using his Twitter to intimidate people from the office of the presidency. And I do think an issue might be, I think when, this is just me speaking, but I think when Donald Trump uses his Twitter, he's still using it as like a normal citizen would. And like when he shot off a tweet that said, like this morning, that said Meryl Streep was an overrated actress. And whatever his opinion is, that's fine. That can be his opinion. But I think it's one thing for a private citizen to say that, but I think when the president says that, it can come off as like the president trying to intimidate somebody. And I actually don't think that's Trump's intention. I just think he's still tweeting the way a lot of us would tweet or talk to people in our private life. And he's not actually president yet. So I personally hope that when he's president, he minimizes that sort of thing, because I think it can make him an easy target. And I think that kind of stuff is not his chief. Doing that kind of stuff is not what's really going to make America great again. And I don't think he thinks that's what's going to make America great again. I think that's something he's just used to doing. So I'm fair, and I think that was the one little part of Meryl Streep's speech where she had some kind of reasonable argument, or at least a reasonable point of view, and you might disagree with that, that's fine. But anyways, in the whole long speech that was that, but a bunch of it was just 90% of it was just dumb. So we're going to go on to another story right now, story number 2. I think what I'd like to do real quick is, could we do like a little commercial break, Brad? Is that possible? Brad, let me talk to you for a second. It doesn't matter that it's on the air. Brad, Micah, someone? And, because it's real news for real people. If I wanted to take like, I'm not doing it yet, but if I want to take like a minute, is that possible or is that not possible? Can we do that? If I do that, all right, I want to ask these people. If I take a minute, can you stick around? We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We might show an ad. We might show that picture. I'm just going to take a minute. And I'm going to go somewhere. And I'm going to come right back. We'll give us all a little break. I'm sure people are pretty worked up over Meryl Streep. I know I am. I think I just need to go and just sort of count to 10, relax a little bit. I want to read some more of your messages, but I want to do so. How about this? I'm going to take a minute, and during that minute, if you want to maybe direct message me at Lookner, that's on Twitter. Go to Twitter. I'm at Lookner, at Lookner. Send me a direct message. Follow me if you want to. Send me a direct message, and when I come back from this like 1 minute. Between like a minute and 90 seconds, what we're going to do is we're going to read some more of your comments, because I haven't gotten to them lately, and we're going to move on to our next real news story. And I'm excited to talk about this one, because it's been kind of bothering me for a while, and I really want to talk about it. And so we're going to do it. So Micah and Brad, am I cool to take a minute? Your thoughts? Am I good? All right. Can I take this? Welcome back, everybody. I told you it wasn't going to be that long. I said it was going to be 90 seconds. I hope you stick around. You stuck around. If I find out you didn't stick around over the break, I'll be very sad. We're back at Look, real news by real people. I'm wearing real people clothes. I have a real people iPad. So this show, just in case you missed the first part, we're doing something a little different tonight. RSBN tonight we're not doing that tonight, but this is supposed to be different than mainstream media news with their fancy sets and fancy suits and fancy people and the same stories on all the networks and the same superficial takes and not talking like real people talk. So we're just talking about the news, some stuff that happened, and in a real way, like normal people talk about it. And also, unlike, you know how real people, like, they communicate with each other? You know, like if you're talking to somebody, they usually talk back to you and you communicate. We do that on this show, and we do it through the magic of direct messaging on Twitter. So if you want to direct message me during the show, comments, questions, concerns, at Lookner. Go to Twitter, find my Twitter at Lookner, and send me a message. And I would love to see what people think of the show. I'm sort of nervous because I'm guessing that some like it and some hate it. But you know, I'm kind of interested in hearing both. So I guess I'm gonna now check and see what people said. And I'm sorry if I don't get to your message. I'm trying my best to get to a lot of them. Let's see what people said. Let's see. We have Ella KGB Cupcake says, remember when Streep painted her face orange a la Glenn Beck? She's as crazy as Glenn Beck. I actually don't remember when Meryl Streep painted her face orange, but perhaps some of the viewers out there do. So feel free to Google it and look it up. Interesting. Okay. Norway for Trump. We have not heard from Norway for Trump yet. Norway for Trump says, let's see what he says. I'm opening it up. Oh, he's enjoying the show so far. He says a big thanks. Oh, a couple things. He says a big thank you to the RSBN family in chat from Norway. You guys are the backbone of RSBN. So he's giving a shout out to the people in the chat room. He's also saying, Steve, you can show my photo. Let's see. All right, I'm going to show Norway for Trump. Ready? He said I could show it. That's his photo right there. I think you can see it. Hopefully you can. If you can't, go to @Norway. What? They can't see it? Oh, they can see it. Maybe go to @Norway for Trump, and you can see his picture. So thank you, Norway for Trump. Yeah, and I should mention the chat. If you've never gone to the chat room before, it's a fun place where real people can talk about real news and also real events on RSBN. And if you want to hang out with some fun people and talk about some fun stuff in the chat room, and you can maybe Brad sometimes shows up in the chat room and he can hang out with you and talk. You never know who's going to be there given on day to day. So Brad's doing this thing right now where he's trying to make me laugh. That's what he's doing. But I like Brad that way. Brad, you want to just shout hello to everybody?
Hello, everybody.
Brad Savage, he's an amazing producer here at Right Side Broadcasting. You have seen his work, but you don't necessarily know when you're seeing it. Brad, what's your Twitter if people want to follow you?
@New World New Age.
@New World New Age, all one word.
All one word.
Can they DM you too?
No.
Oh, they can. You can't be DM Brad. Sorry.
Cannot be DM'd.
No. So all right. So thank you, Brad.
You're welcome.
All right. So we got to Norway for Trump. I want to read a couple others here. Just so if you want to talk about right side stuff, it's fun to go to the chat room. Moderator. Trump chat, is it called chat moderator? The moderator is awesome, but I don't know if she wants me to mention her name, but she's a really cool woman. But if you want me to mention your name, moderator, tell me, and maybe I will do it on a future episode. A couple more quickly here. Andrew says, let's see, what did he say? Andrew likes the show. Thank you, Andrew. And he says, I saw pictures of Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn at the Golden Globes. They looked mad. I guess they're big-time conservative and are supporters of Trump. Oh, this is a good point. So I actually saw somebody had taken a screenshot of Mel Gibson, and I don't know if it was exactly from the point of time. I think it was the same shot you saw, Andrew, where Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn looked mad. And I think it might have been during Meryl Streep's speech, but I'm not sure. Somebody might have like taken a picture of them looking mad and like said it was during Meryl Streep's speech, but they did. So again, that's one of those things that maybe go on your internet and look it up and see if you can figure out the truth. But Andrew, thanks for the tip and thanks for the shout out. And maybe I'll just take one more here. I'll take one more. It's so fun just seeing what people have to say. Let's see if there's anybody we haven't heard from yet. Billy Ray Fire says, you can show my picture too. Well, you know what, Billy Ray Fire, I'm not going to do this for everyone, but you say you're a veteran, so thank you for your service. We love veterans at Right Side Broadcasting. And that's Billy Ray Fire. He's at Billy Ray Fire, Billie, Ray Fire. That's Billy Ray Fire, so you can see him. Thanks for watching, Billy Ray. So awesome. And by the way, in addition, I'm not going to say this all the time. I'll say this once on this show. But we do, we don't get big donors here. We run based on ads and also support from you. So I know everybody doesn't have a lot of money, but if you do like the programming we do here, and we're going to be doing a lot more of it soon, we would, anything you can spare, like if you want to make a donation, go to rsbn.tv/donate. And we totally appreciate all donations because that really helps us survive here. And I won't continually, this will be the one time in the show I ask you to do this. But if you don't have the money, that's fine. We get it, and please keep watching. But if you can spare a little bit, we always love it. But the other way you can help us is if you see that ad run, please don't skip it. Just watch it. You can help us so much. That helps us make money. You can help us make money that way, and you don't even have to pay us physically or electronically. You can just pay us by watching the ad. So that's how it works here. So when the ad comes up, just I'm going to fix my watch. But when the ad comes up on the screen, please, if you're watching a Right Side show, consider not skipping it and watching the ad. We would so appreciate it. And we thank you for our sponsors for putting the ads on. Okay, now I want to get to story number 2. Story number 2 is a personal story. There's a story number 3 coming up, which is more of a news story. But story number 2 is something that happened to me today. And I honestly can't believe it happened to me. And it illustrates something something happened to me today, which is like a stereotype about liberals, but it really happened. So this is similar to there are other situations where people you think it never happened to you, but it does happen to you. I'm trying to think of a similar situation, but there's a situation where you've heard about it happening to other people. But this is not a bad example, but I'm guessing you've heard about people who lightning struck right next to them. But I'm guessing somebody could tell you that, but if it actually happens, it's oh my gosh, that is crazy, crazy, crazy that actually happened. But for most people, it never actually happens. This is a case where there's a certain stereotype, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's a certain stereotype about what some liberal people do, and I've heard about this happening. I've heard that this exists, but today I encountered it face to face or Twitter to Twitter or whatever. I encountered it in person, and I was like, wow, this stereotype is actually true. Some liberal people actually do act this way. And just to be both sides here, I'm guessing there's certain conservative stereotypes that some conservative people instantiate, but again, I'm just sticking, so it's not that I hate all liberals, and that's not the point here. My point is, this was my experience today of this one liberal stereotype which came true. So let me explain to you what happened, and this is going to take just a little bit of explaining, but I think this is worth your while. I know you're busy. I know you got other stuff to be doing. So I wouldn't take up your time telling this story unless I thought you were going to enjoy it at the end. That would be dumb. It would be annoying of me to do that. And also, it would make you just turn off the show. And also, I'd be being a bad person. I don't want to be a bad person to you. I want to be a good person. I want to reward you for watching our shows. So I'm going to tell you this little bit of a story what happened, but wait for the end, and I think you'll appreciate it. So anyways. The story begins, and I'll make it brief. There's this woman, Rukmini Callimachi, and she is a reporter, a correspondent for the New York Times, and she has around 120,000 Twitter followers. She's a pretty big deal. She reports on terrorism stuff. I initially started following her because, like, sometimes when there's a terrorist attack, she'll report about whether the person's in ISIS or not, or what they found out about the person and that stuff. And I've gotten some good tweets from her. I didn't follow her because I wanted to not like what she was saying. I followed her because I thought she did some really good reporting about some terrorist activity on Twitter. Anyways, though, today she posted a tweet that came up in my feed, and I looked at it and I did a double take, and I think you'll be able to see this tweet now. I'll read it, but I will post the tweet. I will say the tweet that she posted, and that tweet was the following. It said, "Scathing report by @Peter Bergen CNN et al. Showing America's no concession policy resulted in deaths of U.S. hostages." So I read this tweet, and I was sort of struck by it because I was struck by it, and I was kind of surprised, and I was like, wait, she's saying that there's a report out there by Peter Bergen of CNN, who I think is a really smart guy, and that and other people who wrote this report, she's saying this Peter Bergen report shows that not making concessions to terrorists, to kidnappers, results in more hostages dying? Because I personally, this is just me personally, I support the policy of not paying ransom for hostages and not giving other concessions to get hostages back. So, for example, if ISIS takes an American hostage, some of the family members in America might be like, well, that's terrible, which it would be, and they might say, we want to offer $1 million of our family money to ISIS to let them release our brother or whatever it is. And if I'm right, there are laws against this, or at least until recently there were laws against this. There's been some debate about the policy, and I'm sorry I didn't do enough research today to refresh myself about the recent policy debates. But if you have a no concessions position, what you would say is look, family, it is the worst thing ever that your relative was kidnapped. I mean, it's terrible. There's nothing worse. And if I was the family member, of course I would want to offer a ransom for my family member. But the point of the policy is you say, you can't let American people offer money independently and offer other things to get hostages back from ISIS, because once people start paying ransom, even if private people are paying ransom or giving other things to ISIS, even if it's private people, not the government, that makes taking hostages pay off. And once you set a precedent of making concessions, be it ransom or other concessions, to terrorists when they kidnap hostages, the risk is it makes them kidnap more in the future. So the policy... People who support this policy of not making concessions to hostages, not paying ransoms, or not doing governmental favors for ISIS or whatever it would be, they acknowledge that a bad part of this policy is that in the short term it very well might result in more hostages dying, and that's terrible. But the point is to overall save lives of hostages, because in the future, if you don't make concessions and you don't pay ransoms, it'll decrease the number of deaths. But this tweet, when I read it, I mean, it seemed to suggest that again, it said scathing report showing America's no concession policy resulted in deaths of U.S. hostages. It seemed to suggest that the no concession policy doesn't work, and that when you say we're not going to pay ransoms, it actually makes more hostages die. And I was like, that doesn't seem right to me, and I really want to know what's in this report. So, long story short, I read the report and it didn't say this, or it didn't say what her tweet implied. What it basically said is, this is the short version. If you want to know my position on this more fully, I sent this woman a bunch of Rukmini Calamachi, a bunch of tweets in reply to this, and you can read all the tweets I said in reply. But basically what the report said is look, lots of Western countries, besides the U.S., do offer concessions, do pay ransoms for hostages. And the problem is when like ISIS or some other terrorist group takes a hostage, they just take Westerners hostage. They're not sure necessarily, is this an American person? Is this a French person? Is it a British person? They just take a Westerner hostage because they look Western. And so because all of these other countries besides America pay ransoms for hostages and give concessions for hostages, what happens is that even if we, America, don't pay concessions and don't give concessions and don't pay ransoms, it's not going to deter them from taking hostages. Why? Because other countries pay ransom, other Western countries pay ransom and make concessions, and when they kidnap the people, they don't know which Western country they're from. So what ends up happening, and I hope this is clear, is that given that all these other Western countries pay ransoms and make concessions for hostages, if we don't, that's not going to deter ISIS from and other terrorist groups from taking hostages, and it'll just result in more Americans getting killed because we won't be paying the ransom, and if we don't pay the ransom, they'll kill the American hostages. So the brief point here is that the report doesn't say that generally not making concessions and not making ransoms and not paying ransoms for hostages doesn't work. The point of the report is not that if you don't pay ransoms for hostages, more hostages will get killed. That's not the point at all. The point is, given that all these other countries pay ransoms, if that's not going to change, well, perhaps then we shouldn't think that America not paying ransoms will keep fewer Americans, will make it so that fewer Americans get killed, because when they capture the people and then they kidnap them, they don't know if they're American or French or British or whatever. So that's my point. My basic point is that her summary of this report is misleading and incomplete, and it doesn't really capture, it implies that the no concessions policy about hostages and not paying ransom is a bad policy in general. At least I thought it implies that, but the report doesn't say that. So anyways, and I told you this was going to be a long explanation. I'm sorry, I just want to make things clear to you. This is going somewhere. Unlike Meryl Streep's speech, this is going somewhere. I promise you, and we're getting there right now. Okay, so Rukmini Callimachi makes this tweet about this report. And I sent her, and I felt like this needed to be explained, and I couldn't explain it in one tweet. So I think I sent her 8 tweets in a row, just basically saying what I just said to you and saying hey, I read the report doesn't say what you're implying it says, here's what the report actually says, and therefore I think your summary of the report was incomplete and misleading. That's what I said, it was misleading and incomplete. So I send that to her. I never think I'm going to hear anything back, but I think that when these reporters are popular and they have lots of followers, they should feel some responsibility to not mislead their followers. And I think that her original tweet had the risk of misleading her followers about what the report said. So she posts this tweet. I post about 8 or 9 tweets just explaining the position that I explained to you. Never think I'm going to hear back. And then I look at my Twitter this morning, and I'm going to call it up for you if I can. But I believe they'll be able to show you on the screen right now. I get a direct message back from Rukmini Callimachi. And what is her response to my argument, my rational argument, that her original tweet was misleading and incomplete? Her response is, "You heard the term mansplaining?" That's what she said to me. This is a New York Times correspondent with 120,000 followers. An established journalist with a respected, well-known journalist for one of the foremost, I don't think it's that way anymore, but I'm not going to go on New York Times right now, but one of the foremost news organizations in the world. And when I take a tweet, she says, and I write back about 8 tweets explaining in an argument, in a rational argument, not dirty or anything, and just a rational argument why I think she didn't capture what the report said, her response is, you heard the term mansplaining? She actually says this. Now, if you don't know what mansplaining is, oh, by the way, my impression of Rukmini Callimachi, because I've seen plenty of other tweets that she's posted, is that she's a liberal. I won't go into my reasoning for this now, but I'm pretty darn sure, because she is a very, in some of her non-newsy tweets, or I don't even want to say this, in some of her tweets when she's not directly doing reporting, there's a very liberal bent. So I'm pretty darn sure she's a liberal. So I'm going to assume for now she's a liberal and she supports Hillary Clinton, but if not, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure from what she said she is. So, mansplaining is this thing that liberals I've heard do, and liberals on both sides, both male and female, do this. And what the term mansplaining supposedly means is when a man says, when a man tells a woman why she's wrong, and he does this in a very sort of lecture-y way. And the idea here is mansplaining is when a man thinks because he's a man and she's a woman, he has the right to lecture to her because he's smarter than her because he's a man. That's what mansplaining supposedly is. Now, if this happens, I think that's wrong. I think it's wrong for a man to think he's smarter than a woman just because he's a man. I would think it's wrong for the other way around too. I think it's wrong for a man or a woman to lecture a member of the opposite sex just because they're a member of the opposite sex. So if a man is out there anywhere and they're lecturing a woman at length on something just because they think I'm a man and she's a woman and she doesn't understand things, and because I'm a man I have the right, I'm smarter than her, and I have the right to just lecture her for a long time on this subject and tell her why she's wrong, I think that's wrong. That's supposedly what mansplaining is. And I have heard many times that I've heard this complaint posted by people, both men and women, but it's posted more by women than men because I guess they're the victim of it. That and this is it's a favorite thing. A lot of liberal women especially post this, but I'm sure some conservative women do too. But it's sort of a stereotype thing that liberal women complain about, that men mansplain to them. So I've also heard that and I've seen cases online where I thought people were criticizing women, some women were criticizing other people for mansplaining that I didn't think deserve it. And I've also heard some people complain that there are certain people out there who complain that men are mansplaining when they're not mansplaining. So this is the stereotype. There's a certain liberal stereotype which is certain liberal people say anytime a man, actually this happened in the debates. Somebody, and I remember one of the Trump debates, when Trump would give an argument why Hillary was wrong about some point, I would frequently see liberals saying he was mansplaining to her. Now, when I watched the debate, I just saw one candidate giving an argument why the other candidate was wrong. But certain people watched that and they just said, oh, he's mansplaining. Now, to me, he wasn't mansplaining in the debate. He was just saying why he thought she was wrong. But certain people see this filter of whenever a man is talking to a woman, anytime a man is making a case why the woman is wrong, that's mansplaining. But I've never had this happen to me. And man, I thought that I just gave a very reasonable argument why this woman's tweet was it was incomplete and misleading. And she could have disagreed with me with that. It would have been entirely reasonable if she tweeted back, "You're an idiot. My tweet didn't actually say that. Here's why I think your argument is bad." But she didn't address my argument. She didn't even look at the merits of what I was saying and want to debate that. All she said when she initially tweeted me was, "You heard the term mansplaining?" So she claimed that my response to her, I was only writing the response in the form I did because I was a man and she was a woman. And I thought because I was a man and she was a woman, I was smarter than her, and I had the right to lecture her at length. That's what she said to me. This is Rukmini Callimachi, a New York Times correspondent with 120,000 Twitter followers. That was her first response to a rational argument against her view. And I still can't believe that she said this. I don't believe, I feel like it has to be a parody. This can't be real. This can't be how this otherwise smart person sees the world. I would never, if a woman lectured me on something, I would never go to the place of like, and if she lectured me on something, no, not this. If I said something, if I made some kind of claim and a woman said to me, here's why I think you're wrong, and she gave like a whole argument about why I think it was wrong, and there was a reasonable argument, even if I didn't agree, I would never go to the place of like immediately, oh, well, she just thinks she's a woman and she's smarter than me. I would look at the basis of what she's actually saying and say like, oh, well, she has an argument, she thinks I'm wrong, but you know, but she thinks I'm wrong, but that's not her doing it because of her gender. Anyways, so you know what? I've gone on. I got so angry about this. I went on longer than I thought, and I want to get to some of your comments soon. But anyways, my point is this: is this really kind of rocked my world today, because this is a person who I think is a smart person, and she's in a very high position in media, and she jumped right on this mansplaining thing, and like it's like she didn't even listen to what I was saying. She later down, she DM'd me like, only men write like this. That's what she said about the way I wrote my tweets. Only men write like this. So she thinks that I just wrote what I wrote because I'm a man and she's a woman. And believe me, I've written very similar things to men, and I would say the exact same argument if a man wrote it. But anyways, so that's today's reality check. Sort of about what actually is out there, and I was stunned by it. So I want to go back. So we're running out of time today. We're running out of time, and I got to sort of end this kind of soon. And I hope you thought that whole story was worth the ending. If it doesn't, DM me and let me know. I thought it was really worth it to hear it. You can go on my Twitter @Lookner @LOOKNER and read about that. Unfortunately, because we're going to have to get to our next show soon, I'm not going to do my third story tonight. But maybe I'll save it, because I think we can do it in the future if we do this again soon. And so I don't want to spoil it for you. I want to look at your messages. So you can direct message me at @Lookner, and go to Twitter, direct message me. Let's see what you had to say. I hope all the comments aren't, this whole story went on for too long and I wish you got to the end quicker. But maybe they are. Let me see. Let me just take a drink first. Okay, what'd you have to say? Someone says, Eden Fresh Cafe says, lots of luck to you. I can't tell whether that means, great show, lots of luck to you, or like, lots of luck to you, hated your show. Parade Driver says, I hope it's the former. Parade Driver says, are you wearing pants? The answer is yes, I am wearing pants. Let's see. Chris says, I'm watching from the United Kingdom. I just turned 25. Can't wait to see Donald J. Trump as president. He loves the UK. I think he does love the UK. And Chris, congratulations on turning 25. Happy birthday. Let's see. What else do we got? I'm going to some of the more recent ones. Let's see here. Any other more recent ones? We have Cuddly Ogre says, what's your take on Pepe being a hate symbol? That's a whole other subject. I got to do my research on that one. Anyways, thank you all so much for writing in. And so I think I'm going to bring this to a close now. And I just want to say, so this has been Look, Real News by Real People. And the point here was not to give you the same old news on the same old media does. The point here was to talk about kind of news the way real people talk about it and give you a real person's perspective. And I really want to hear your perspectives on things too, and we all do here at Right Side. So I really hope you give me a shout on Twitter. Go into the RSBN chat room and talk there. Make some new friends. We'd love it if we could help you make some new friends. Right Side RSB Network. If you want to tweet Right Side, if you want to follow Right Side Broadcasting on Twitter @RSB Network. And we do this for you. So any comments you have, if you watch this on YouTube, we love to see your comments, whether they're pro or negative. This show is for you, so if you think there's something we can be doing better, let us know. If there's something you like, let us know. And we're going to be coming with a lot of shows at you soon. We're going to be new stuff coming out with the next few weeks. So thank you so much for watching. Like, we do this for you. We don't do it for us. We know you're watching, and we want to make programming like that's different than from what you've seen, and not mainstream media. And it's real, and it's for real people, and we're not going to be dressing up and looking fancy. And if you want that, unfortunately, I can't give you that. So, I'm sure there's plenty of channels that can give you that. But we hope we're doing what you want to do, what you want us to do, and we hope you're going to enjoy our programming. And I think you're going to see a lot of cool stuff coming at you soon. So, anyways, thank you so much for watching Look, Real News by Real People. Hope you have a great night. I know Wayne Dupree's coming up, so definitely watch that. Check that out if you haven't. And we'll see you all later. So thanks for watching. Till next time, bye. See you soon. Bye.